If iodine videos keep shouting that every cell is starving and waving kelp capsules, start one step earlier. Iodine's real job is narrower and more important. Your thyroid uses it to build the hormones that set energy pace across nearly every organ. Miss that job and the gland strains. Flood it, and the same system can misfire. This is thyroid-building material with a real dose window.
That already sounds less glamorous than the benefit reels. If the core story is hormone raw material rather than a universal upgrade, why do so many creators still push high-dose drops as if almost everyone is secretly deficient?
Think of T4 and T3 as finished products that literally contain iodine. Without enough iodine, hormone production stalls, and months of shortfall can enlarge thyroid tissue as the gland works harder. That is why lasting deficiency can show up as goiter or hypothyroidism in iodine-poor diets, especially where soil and the local food supply stay low. The useful case is baseline shortfall, not a universal upgrade. Adults generally need about 150 micrograms a day. Pregnancy jumps to 220 and lactation to 290 because thyroid hormone demand rises with those states. If iodized salt, seafood, and dairy already cover the target, a high-dose pill is usually not the hero move.
So pregnancy is the high-stakes chapter? Walk me through what the baby actually depends on in the first trimester for thyroid hormone, because that sounds more precise than the vague claim that iodine is simply good for moms.
In the first trimester, the fetus relies on maternal thyroid hormone crossing the placenta. The fetal thyroid starts working around 12 weeks, but it does not make enough hormone until roughly 18 to 20 weeks. That early window is why low maternal iodine status matters for brain and nervous system development, not as a late pregnancy afterthought.
If the stakes are that early, does the evidence say every pregnant person should jump straight to an iodine pill? Or can food and a standard prenatal still be the first move when intake looks adequate?
When researchers focus on iodine-deficient pregnant women, standardized supplementation is linked with lower TSH and thyroglobulin, markers that track thyroid strain. The clearer TSH improvements clustered with daily potassium iodide around 200 to 300 micrograms in that meta-analysis. Read that as correction of shortfall, not proof that already replete people get a cognitive upgrade from stacking more. Here is the boundary before we romanticize ocean plants. Kelp is iodine-rich, and seaweed products can vary wildly. A pilot seaweed meal study in healthy adults raised serum and urinary iodine after one exposure, which is why natural does not mean gentle. Very high intake can reduce thyroid function, and combining high iodine with antithyroid medicines can push hypothyroidism harder.
Then give me the boring, useful numbers. If food can cover most of this, what does a practical plate look like? Iodized salt measures fish portions, dairy, not mysterious seaweed powders that never list micrograms? And how hard does ordinary iodized salt actually move the needle compared with a kelp tablet that hides the real dose? I want a spoon-level math, not another ocean superfood story.
Medline Plus notes about 78 micrograms of iodine in a quarter teaspoon of iodized salt and roughly 146 micrograms in a 3-ounce cod portion. Those two can cover a large share of the adult 150 microgram target when the rest of the diet is not iodine-starved. Fortified salt remains a quieter public health workhorse than chasing kelp megadoses. A recent pediatric fish consumption review found a modest vitamin D biomarker bump, while other micronutrient markers, including urinary iodine, were largely inconsistent. So fish is a sensible iodine-containing food, especially species like cod, but it is not a magic lab result switch by itself. Pair it with iodized salt habits and overall diet context instead of treating one seafood night as thyroid therapy.
Got it. Fish helps. It does not guarantee a lab fix. Before we leave the ocean theme, should people also worry that stacking seaweed snacks, kelp pills, and iodized everything could quietly overshoot?
Yes. Excess iodine is the under-discussed twin of deficiency. Most healthy people tolerate higher intakes, but susceptible people can tip into hypo or hyperthyroid problems, goiter, or autoimmune flare patterns when intake jumps. Sources can stack quietly across salt, milk, seaweeds, and supplements. That is why more thyroid support marketing is reckless when it ignores total load.
There is a popular claim that roughly 4 in 10 people are iodine deficient, and every cell is starving for drops. How should a careful viewer translate that noise into a personal decision without panic buying high-dose bottles?
Translate it into context, not fear. Severe deficiency outcomes like cretinism are described as very rare in the United States because iodine deficiency is generally not a widespread domestic problem where iodized salt is common. The people most likely to benefit from deliberate attention are those with low intake patterns, little iodized salt or seafood, and especially pregnancy or lactation when requirements rise. If you want a tracking mindset that matches the evidence, watch intake pattern in clinical context, not energy mood after one seaweed shot. Adequacy looks like regular iodized salt or seafood exposure meeting age-specific needs, with prenatal attention when pregnancy is planned or underway. Correcting deficiency supports hormone production. It does not promise a stimulant-like upgrade in someone already replete.
What about people already on levothyroxine or anyone with Hashimoto's, Graves' disease, or nodules? Does iodine still belong in the casual self-experiment category, or is that exactly when you stop improvising from thyroid YouTube?
That is clinician territory. Thyroid hormone drugs, antithyroid medicines, nodules, and autoimmune thyroid disease change the risk calculus because iodine directly feeds the pathway those conditions already destabilize. Pregnancy adds monitoring needs for thyroid function itself. If those apply, do not titrate kelp capsules off a podcast. Ask the clinician managing the labs and the medication plan.
So if someone is staring at a kelp bottle tonight after a week of benefit-heavy thyroid videos, what is the one decision rule you want them to use before they swallow anything high-dose and call it self-care?
Use this rule. Iodine is essential raw material for T4 and T3, most valuable when intake is low or pregnancy raises need, and usually solvable with iodized salt and food before pills. Treat kelp and concentrated seaweed as high-variance iodine loads that can overshoot. If thyroid disease, thyroid medication, or pregnancy is in play, get individualized guidance. Match dose to need. Do not chase the loudest online iodine sermon.